Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's still sort of newer television shows, What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you've seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. So whether you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or maybe you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck, you have something in common with all of our guests that we feature on this show. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly. And today's guests, plural, are no exception. Today, I'm happy to have Michael Kenney and Deserée Kenney, the team behind Kenney Protective Agency. The Kenney Protective Agency is a New Jersey licensed and bonded security agency serving New Jersey. They provide personal safety, self-defense, and security training for children, teens, college students, and adults. Also, seminars for businesses and houses of worship and real estate professionals, which, if you've seen the news, is something that has become an increasing issue in recent years. Michael Kenney, the company's founder and security chief, has over 36 years of experience in professional law enforcement and private security. He's a New Jersey State Police Certified Security Officer, SORA, and an instructor who enjoys teaching individuals that need recertification or the initial certification training for those looking to get into the security field. Deserée Kenney is the training and security supervisor. Her specialties include academics, budgeting, communications, content management, counseling, customer relations, grant writing, instruction, management, meeting facilitation, organization skills, presentation skills, print advertising, programming, psychology, as well as public speaking, research, stories, supervisory skills, teaching, and she's the macro media director. As I mentioned earlier, their firm's work as self-protection and specialists includes personal safety, self-defense for all age groups and real estate agents, the NJSORA training, and then security training for businesses. So suffice to say, as a business owner, I really appreciate the services that they provide. And without further ado, please welcome Michael and Deserée.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that you guys are able to join us today, because being a security business owner in today's society is a very busy time indeed. Now, how long have you had your agency?
So we've had the agency going on around 5 years.
Okay, so you're still newer, and I know you've grown a lot in that 5-year
Yes.
time frame. Now, out of curiosity, one of the first questions I ask everybody is, I don't know, well, actually, full disclosure, Deserée and I go way back. We're not going to say how far back. We're just going to say way, 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 way back, like elementary school back. Okay. So I don't know that you grew up, or when you were little, you knew that you wanted to be in security. I really don't know that I don't remember you ever mentioning it. Not that that's the kind of thing you talk about when you're little. But what did you each want to do when you grew up before you met each other?
Well, I'll let Deserée start.
Well, I wanted to be a nun and a linguist, which I'm neither now. So my life journey's taken many different. I guess I'm more of a Renaissance person. You would call me a modern Renaissance.
Renaissance,
person.
yeah. You've pivoted lots of times.
Many times. But it makes your view a much more holistic view of the world and whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay. Now, how about you, Michael?
Well, starting out as a young kid, what I kind of had desires was either to be a policeman or a fireman, which is a thing that most boys, a lot of boys, want to do. As I got into high school, a friend of mine, his father mentioned that they were building a prison in Cumberland County and wanted to know if I was interested in, putting in for the job. That was my senior year of high school. He told me a little bit about the job. It sounded kind of intriguing. I took the test, and right after high school, I was hired for the New Jersey Department of Corrections.
Wow.
So I started at 18, retired there as a sergeant, worked at 4 different prisons over my career, my 25-year career. Spent about 18 years on the department's special operations team, which I was a tactical team sergeant. And then, after 25 years, I figured it was time to call it quits, and I retired. So I retired at 43, still too young to not work. So then I moved on to a career as the head of security for a halfway house in Bridgeton. So I did that for about 12 years. In the meantime, we were kind of looking at some other options, and with my background, it gave me what I needed to apply to the state police to own our own agency. So that's how we kind of got started.
Okay. Which takes me to my next question, which is how you got here today. Now you're married, so this is you're the chief officer, but really it's more of a partnership.
Yeah, she's the boss.
If you don't mind my asking, how long have you been together as a couple? We know the company's been around for 5 years.
So we'll let her answer that so I don't get yelled at if I say something wrong.
We've been together 10, 11 years.
Okay.
Only been married for about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you made sure it was the right fit.
Oh yeah, we were friends for a while before we ever evolved into anything else. And then business partners after that was, yeah.
Friendship first is one of the best ways. I was friends with my husband too. In fact, if anybody had ever asked me if that was the person, I love him. Seriously, I do. I love you, honey. But even he says that, the one thing he had to do was convince me that he was the only thing missing from my life, because I never, ever saw that coming. All right, so what inspired you to go out on your own and open your own firm?
Well, initially, like I said, I was working at the halfway house, and I kind of started doing some armed security for another company.
Okay.
And I was doing some work at the Cumberland Mall at the movie theater. And then we had talked about it, and I was like, well, maybe if we have our own company, then I could market myself versus working for somebody else. So
actually, it started, if I remember, you had to get your SORA license, because in New Jersey, security officers have to be licensed, and there's a class that you have to take. And so you needed to do that before you did security.
That is correct.
And it was hard to find somebody locally.
Okay.
And so it was one of those things. He's got a background in teaching in the DOC. I have a background in teaching everybody everything, lots of different things. So we kind of had that in common and said, well, teach what you know. So he said, well, what's it take to become an instructor? And so people in Cumberland County and surrounding Salem, won't have as hard of a time. So it kind of evolved from him becoming an instructor. He started teaching the SORA class, and it just kind of started evolving from there. And then we should be a security company.
See a need, fill a need.
See a need, fill a need.
Awesome. So in terms of the company itself, I mentioned kind of a broad overview of a lot of the different things that you do. But specifically, what are some of the specific services that you offer if somebody out there is a real estate agent and wants to know how to protect themselves when they're doing open houses, where they have children that they'd like to get security or self-defense training? What are some of the programs and services you offer?
You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
Yeah, we did kind of evolve into, we still do security services, but the majority of what we do is teach. We are authorized instructors for a company called Cobra Self-Defense. They are a multinational, worldwide company, and we became certified in them. And one of the programs that we teach from them is real estate security. And, realtors are crime by appointment. It's such a vulnerable state. So we luckily were able to get approval by the state of New Jersey to offer continuing education credits for them as well. So that was something important we wanted to reach out for. And within just the COBRA training, there's self-defense training from 5 years old all the way to senior. We do specific senior trainings as well. And teens, we just got done another teen down in Marsh River Township. They had a scare with some of their kids being kind of stalked a little bit.
Oh.
And so the township kind of got together and asked us to come down, and we just did a teen program for that age group, and then we'll be doing the program for the younger kids as well, to kind of teach them, give them tools to use to, how do you fight back? What do you do if something like this happens? And these are hard conversations for parents to have. Plus, a lot of times you don't listen to your parents as well as somebody else. And then we practice. That's a big part of it, is that we practice, because when you're in a situation, God, I hope you never are, but if you are in a situation, it's one thing to have seen a PowerPoint. It's a whole other thing for your brain to go, wait, I've done this before, and be able to step in and do what you have to do. So that's what we do for Cobra.
In addition to that, on the security aspect for realtors, we also offer what we call security escort for realtors, okay? So if a realtor wants to do an open house, they can hire one of our security staff, could be us, and we'll wear plain clothes, so we'll look more like a realtor, and we will be in the house with them to ensure, to limit the possibility that something, bad can happen.
So you're like the Air Force, the airplane marshals of the realtor world,
Right.
Where you're just kind of hanging out, looking like you're just there to check out the house, but in reality, you're making sure that you're there in case something happens.
Correct. Our security work is more is not the same as most other companies typically do. We don't want any long-term contracts. Everything is small. We do events. Private events, do security for private events. We do the security escort for realtors. We'll do home inspections. If somebody is away, like the people that say you live in Florida half the year and New Jersey the other half, and during the 6 months you're not here, if you want us to check your house for you, we'll do that. We do a contractor supervision. Say you're getting your kitchen remodeled, but you can't take the whole week off from work. We will be at the house in there with the contractors to make sure that they're not going through your house or doing anything like that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that's the type of work we like to do for security versus, having some major contracts where you have to have somebody there every single day, 24 hours a day and stuff. So we do more short-term stuff.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, we're time for the halfway break.
Okay.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Michael and Deserée Kenney. Welcome back to What the Why with our guests today, Michael and Deserée Kenney of Kenney Protective Agency. And right before the break, we were actually talking about what was going to be my next question, which is what makes you different from other agencies out there. But you have a suite of services, and their information is going to be available at the end of the episode, and you can always also reach out to them through me. But one of the things you were talking about is Cobra. Can you explain a little bit more about what Cobra training is?
Cobra is, it was created by a man named Chris Sutton down in Florida. He was a police officer, a corrections officer, and also a martial artist. And being a martial artist, he knew a lot of the things that can be used, but he differentiated between, martial arts being a sport and what can people learn right away and practice right away. And so he created this program, which is not a martial art, that you can learn right then and there. And martial arts is great to perfect things. It's a whole different ball game. We're not in competition in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's very different. I mean, there are people
different.
that because I do martial arts and actually I used to do the study of or Ryu. Now I do Jitsu, the application of, and it's very different. And there are folks that are officers that have some of these same types of certifications that you have, some of whom you've probably crossed paths with. And so, they differentiate as well. They're very clear that there's, plus, one of my questions was going to be, like, one of the challenges for officers today is that they have very specific things that they're allowed to do per their union contract. So I suspect, you can elaborate further, that your training has to take those kinds of things into account too, so that they stay within the parameters of
Right.
what they're allowed.
You know, and most of our training is geared around civilians. So civilians, what civilians can do versus what police officers can do is two different things.
Okay.
So, but we basically, what we try to do is to help civilians in any way we can prepare themselves to protect themselves or their family. You know what I
The
mean?
good thing is the SORA training, or the security officer training, has a whole component on use of force in the state of New Jersey that was created by the AG. So, so we have an understanding directly from the AG on, you know, a civilian explanation, certainly not an attorney explanation, but a civilian explanation as to what use of force is. And we incorporate that in a lot of our trainings, just to say, you know, just so you know, this isn't considered legal, or this is considered legal in the state of New Jersey, just so people have an understanding and they can look it up further for, you know, or talk to an attorney, but at least they understand. So I think that's very helpful. Plus, with our COBRA training, and the other trainings as well, with our COBRA training, it's very important to practice. And sometimes we only have you for 2 hours. You know, we're doing a team program for 6 hours, which is going to help us do more. Because the more you practice, it gets into your memory, as you know. And if you're in a situation where somebody's got a gun to your head, we'll teach you how to get out of that situation. But you have to practice it, because if that happens, you're going to be completely, you know, you shut down a little bit and your fine motor skills aren't going to work. So Krav Maga is probably not the first thing you're going to pull out of your pocket unless you've been training at it for years and years and years. So what we teach and practice are something gross motor skills, even with the children, you know, can do, and that are effective, you know. So that kind of, from COBRA standpoint, that's why we went with COBRA, because we were impressed with the ease of learning and how the focus was on practicing and drilling it, so that even if we only have you for a couple hours, you're going to walk away with a lot of knowledge that might save your life, and that's important.
You know, and it's a program that anybody can do. It's not, you don't have to be in any certain, you'd have to be an athlete, you didn't have to be in any specific, you know, conditioning. You know, the better condition you're in, the easier, but anybody can be a target, okay? Whether it's a child, whether it's a male, a woman, a senior, you know what I mean? So these are something even somebody's grandmother can learn, you know, that can help them in the event of you know, a bad situation.
I think you are so amazing at guessing what my next questions were going to be, because my next question was going to be, as I understand it, it's also something that it's not really just about your size or strength, it's really about the technique and the application of doing it correctly, so that anybody can really use it.
Absolutely.
We tell people that the more you learn from us, the more tools in your tool belt. And if something happens and you're in a situation where you need to, you pull out a tool and you didn't do it right, or you forgot or something, you have another tool to pull out and use, whatever it is. But the emphasis on whether it's houses of worship, whether we're working with, you know, we had an 84-year-old woman with MS that we taught her a little bit of how to use her cane, you know, or you're a 5-year-old child, or, you know, you're tasked with being, you know, a safety volunteer member at your house of worship. For us, the bottom line, when you boil it all down, it's putting emphasis on how important you are as a person and that you're valuable. You know, we put insurance on our cell phones, but not on ourselves. And it's important, and when you walk away from one of our classes, I think that sinks in a little bit. Like, I am important, I am worth spending time and money to learn how to take care of myself.
Absolutely.
And you know, not everybody wants to do the COBRA. Maybe they don't feel comfortable with the physical aspect. So then we're certified by a company called Sabre. They are almost the #1 provider, if not the #1 provider for pepper spray in the United States. So we're certified by them to give a civilian safety awareness and pepper spray training. So even with that, in New Jersey, you're allowed to carry pepper spray if you're over 18 and no felony convictions. But there's also a limit to the size canister you can have. So by using it effectively and not wasting it is important. Okay, and you can use pepper spray for safety at a distance. You may not have to get physical, So we do a lot of training, and our training in that is we try to do real life scenarios. So we're going to come up behind you, grab your pocketbook, and we want you to be able to spin around and spray me effectively. Okay, and then we also offer that the Sheepdog Church Security. We're certified by them to teach churches how to implement their own safety volunteer team. Instead of paying us, we'll come in and do security in your house of worship, but maybe it's more cost effective if you let us train you on how to get a team of volunteers, to help your church out.
Something we never would have thought 20, 30 years ago would be
Absolutely.
really a necessity in today's society with the way things have gone.
Even in that program, though, there's elements to it like fire safety, or how do you set yourself up as maybe a shelter for a natural disaster is part of the program. So it's not all, security. It is also safety in there as well.
So like a superstorm Sandy, if somebody needed to seek emergency shelter at a church, your
church
training
would
would
know
prepare the church for
Right.
how to handle the influx of people, what to do. Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
That is a lot. If you were the one asking the questions, what question would you ask that I haven't already?
I don't know. We've been predicting everyone.
I know.
So I don't know.
Well, let me take a stab here and see if they come up with their own question. No, we're just that in sync.
I think a question that I might ask is why are people hesitant to sign themselves or their children up for a class that's relatively inexpensive? Most people spend more money at Wawa buying coffee in a week and then not wanted to spend a couple dollars for your personal safety of you and your family. Now, I mean, we mill it around all the time, like why people talk about, wow, it's a great program, but then when it comes down to getting them to commit to it,
Can be a struggle.
my kid might have dance class on that day. Well, they could miss dance class for one day. One day, for something that could maybe benefit them. Just this week, Deserée found a video, was posted on Facebook, I think, right, where somebody's alarm, their Ring alarm, picked up a guy trying to snatch up their little girl in their front yard. This was just posted the other day.
Yeah.
And the little girl did great. She screamed like she should, and she made a lot of noise, which is what a perpetrator doesn't want to be noticed, recognized, or caught. So she did good, but there could have been a bad outcome. You know what I mean? And some kids freeze. We talk to.
It's not their fault.
Yeah, it's not their fault. They don't have the training, and we try to help them work through that. In our training program, we talk to the kids and try to get them to be a little more boisterous when something's happening.
And they have a blast.
And they do. They have a great. The ones that have attended this last class that we just did, it was a 2-hour class, a condensed one. They did it real quick because of what happened in their community. They called us the very next day and said the kids loved it, the parents that were there loved it, and they want a 6-hour training for their kids, and we're scheduled that for 2 weeks from now.
That's awesome.
Because they want more training.
That is fantastic. So believe it or not, we're out of time. So if anybody out there, and we have a growing viewership, and a lot of them are business owners as well as individuals who might be interested in taking some of these classes or actually engaging with you and your services, like I mentioned, the information is going to be posted, but what's the best way for people to reach you?
You can call us, text us, email us, whatever, we'll answer. Facebook.
And we
LinkedIn.
do offer corporate training classes for corporates. Like instead of doing active shooter training, instead of maybe a class that nobody wants to attend and fall asleep in, this will keep them awake in their corporate training.
Edutaining.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
taking
having us.
Thank you for having
time
us.
to come up here and tell everybody about what you do, and the fact that I can't emphasize enough. I mean, people help yourselves, and you've got fantastic services available to you that will help you help yourselves. So next week. So for those of you who don't know, because our episodes always kick off on Tuesdays, we actually tape late on Mondays. So with next week being a holiday week, you're actually going to get some bonus episodes of this episode with Michael and Deserée. But then the following weeks, now that we're finally out of August, we've got a lot of really cool guests lined up, including somebody who used to be with a pretty famous band. I'm really looking forward to having the guests on in the coming weeks. As a reminder, What the Why does air on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. and Mondays at 3:30 p.m. and is also available within 48 hours on demand and on Roku. So keep in mind, whether you're looking to make any changes in your life, no matter how big or small, please remember that you can join us again, get some great ideas, listen in on some future conversations, and hear from some really inspirational people who decided to take a chance, overcome whatever obstacles or fears they might have had about going forth and finding their why and their purpose in life, like Michael and Deserée, and living it.